It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. You've just finished a day that felt like a marathon run in a room full of people shouting over each other. Your brain has precisely 0 bytes of storage left for new information. You open your streaming app, and the algorithm aggressively screams at you to watch that new high-stakes political thriller everyone is obsessed with. But instead, you scroll past the trending section, past the must-watch lists, and find yourself clicking on the pilot episode of Gilmore Girls for the 11th time. Or maybe it's an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where you know exactly which dry, robotic joke Captain Holt is about to make before he even opens his mouth. Someone in the room gives you that look, the one that says, "Again? Don't you want to see something new?" But as that familiar theme song starts, you feel your shoulders drop 2 inches. Your heart rate slows. You aren't being unproductive, and you certainly aren't stuck in the past. What you're actually doing is a brilliant piece of neural self-defense. You've just pulled the emergency brake on a chaotic world. And honestly, you're not alone. Welcome to the invisible tribe of the Rewatchers. Society loves to guilt trip us about this. Hustle culture and productivity gurus will tell you that rewatching old shows is a sign that you're trapped in your comfort zone or just plain lazy. They want you to constantly consume new, challenging, critically acclaimed content to optimize your worldview. But let's look at the actual neuroscience. What you are experiencing is the perfect collision of 2 psychological phenomena: decision fatigue and the need for cognitive fluency. Think about it. The modern world forces you to make roughly 35,000 conscious decisions every single day. Which email to prioritize, what to eat for lunch, how to nod and look engaged during a pointless Zoom meeting. By the time the evening rolls around, your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making CEO of your brain, is completely fried. Starting a new series requires actual work. It's a gamble. What if the plot is convoluted? What if the protagonist is annoying? What if it gets canceled after 1 season, leaving you with unresolved trauma? That's where cognitive fluency comes in. It's the brain's built-in evolutionary preference for things that are easy to process. Right now, your brain is like a laptop with 8,000 browser tabs open and the cooling fan is screaming. It absolutely refuses to download a heavy, complex 4K video file full of new character arcs. It just wants to open a cache document that loads instantly.
Let's zoom out and look at the world we are forced to navigate right now. It is aggressively unpredictable. Between volatile economies, a chaotic 24/7 news cycle, and the exhausting unpredictability of the people around us, your nervous system is trapped in a state of perpetual vigilance. It is constantly scanning the horizon for the next stressful plot twist in your own life. So when you sit down and press play on the extended edition of The Lord of the Rings, even though you can literally lip-sync Aragorn's entire speech at the Black Gate, you aren't retreating. You are engaging in a highly advanced, subconscious form of emotional regulation. You are essentially microdosing certainty. You see, the people who judge you for not watching the latest gritty, trauma-filled hit show don't understand that their brains might be seeking stimulation while your brain is actively seeking stabilization. In a reality where you have absolute 0 control over tomorrow's inflation rates or what mood your boss will be in, you have absolute godlike control over what happens in the Shire. You know the exact minute the tension will peak, and you know exactly when the relief will wash over you. There are no sudden betrayals, no shocking character arcs that will emotionally bankrupt you for the rest of the week. This isn't you being afraid of the future. This is you building a neurological sanctuary. For highly observant, deep-thinking individuals who absorb the world's noise at maximum volume, this predictability is a psychological superpower. You aren't just rewatching a story, you are actively prescribing yourself a dose of safe, controlled emotional resolution. You are choosing peace over the exhausting performance of constantly keeping up with the cultural zeitgeist.
But here is the genuinely wild part about all of this. You think you're watching the exact same show, but you actually aren't. Why? Because you are no longer the same person. Rewatching your comfort show isn't just passive entertainment, it is an emotional time machine. Think back to the very first time you watched that specific season. Maybe you were navigating a messy breakup, surviving the confusing chaos of your early 20s, or living in a tiny apartment trying to figure out your life. The characters on the screen haven't aged a single day, but you have lived entire lifetimes since that first viewing. In psychology, there's a concept tied to autobiographical memory retrieval. The show acts as a fixed measuring stick for your own personal growth. You aren't just absorbing a familiar plot, you're actively having a silent conversation with a past version of yourself. A sarcastic joke that just made you chuckle at 20 might make you nod in deep, cynical agreement at 30. A character's career failure that stressed you out back then now just feels incredibly relatable and beautifully human. It's the exact same reason why astronauts on the International Space Station, floating in the absolute terrifying void of space, often loop the exact same cult classic movies. When the environment around you is a vast, floating unknown, a familiar narrative becomes a psychological tether to your own identity. You're using fiction to remember who you were, to measure how far you've come, and to anchor yourself in the present. But of course, having this kind of psychological boundary comes with a modern-day side effect, the Monday morning office clash. You know exactly how it goes. You step into work or open the group chat, and everyone is aggressively debating that brand new, incredibly dark, high-stakes dystopian series. Someone looks at you and asks, "Did you watch the finale this weekend?" You have to stand there, holding your coffee, knowing full well you spent your entire Sunday watching Lorelai Gilmore drink coffee or Jake Peralta solve a fake Halloween heist. There is that brief, unavoidable sting of FOMO, the fear of missing out. Society has turned consuming media into a competitive sport. People are voluntarily injecting themselves with high-voltage, traumatic plot lines just so they can stay relevant at the water cooler. They treat relaxation like it's just another corporate deadline to meet. But while they are desperately trying to keep up with the exhausting pace of pop culture, you are doing something quietly rebellious. You are actively protecting your peace. Sure, you might miss out on the trendy social media discourse, but you also missed out on a manufactured panic attack. Let them have the cultural zeitgeist. You get to keep your sanity. So the next time someone rolls their eyes and asks why you are watching the exact same episode of that show for the 20th time, you don't need to justify it. You are not stuck. You are not unadventurous or boring. You are simply someone who possesses the rare, quiet intelligence to know exactly what your nervous system needs in a world that never stops screaming. You have found a brilliant way to manufacture your own peace, to sit with an old friend, and to safely navigate the overwhelming noise of modern life. Your comfort show isn't a crutch, it is a carefully curated sanctuary. If this breakdown made you feel a little less crazy and a little more understood, welcome to the tribe. Hit that subscribe button, because on this channel, we decode the hidden psychology behind the things you thought were just your weird quirks. You are safe here. I'll see you in the next one.